This is part 2 of a 2-part episode. If you didn't listen to part 1, no worries. It should be able to stand alone on its own, so I hope you enjoy. We're just going to jump into it. So we're going to talk about opening a pizzeria in 2024. And you work with a lot of pizza people who are looking to get in the game. If someone tells you, Al, I want to open up a pizzeria next year, it's June 2023 when we're recording this. They have 6 to 18 months, give or take. What are you telling them to do? Where are we starting off?
You know, the focus is really recipes and the thought in the production of that, your dough equipment, what are you putting downstairs? And it's also how you're buying that equipment, right? Now, after the pandemic, we've seen this big change in the restaurant business. It doesn't have to be brand new. And that's been the strategy that I've been taking on these newer pizzerias that are coming into the future is before you commit to something right now, look out and maybe wait because it may come up eventually because, you know, places aren't going to make it in these next couple months. And dough production has been a big investment where I've been, you know, pushing a lot of people because I feel like the labor should be spent on the pizzas and being in front of the oven and finishing the pizzas and, you know, being that final smile to the customers and hearing their feedback from the pies.
So you recommend first and foremost looking at what the heck am I going to do in terms of dough? It's not like, should I write a business plan or should I look for a space?
Well, I mean, you got to think about that. Like if you're getting into this game right now, you know that everyone's Googling right now. So everyone's got the 101s. You got to write a business plan. We all know that. Location, location, location. What is the location? Where are you? What is the power? What is the surroundings? And when I say location is maybe there's spaces out there that are fully built out and all you got to do is upgrade a couple things and you've completely changed the style, you know, which a lot of pandemic pizzerias were born.
Let's talk about that real quick. Just because I am a huge fan of people like not doing a build out, only because I've heard so many horror stories on this show. And it's like, if you want to start a pizzeria, easiest thing, maybe do a pop-up. Second easiest thing, do a ghost kitchen. And then the third thing, if you really want to get into a brick and mortar, it seems like take over an existing space and make it your own. And what I'm noticing here in California is that there are a lot of people who own pizzerias and they're getting older. And they're like, who am I going to sell this to? But then specifically in California, those pizzerias are like the fast pizza franchises, or maybe like Mountain Mike franchises. They all got like conveyor belt ovens. So you're talking about like improving the style a bit. That's a great idea.
Yeah, you know, and that's been it. You know, like you go in there, the great example, these conveyor ovens, they're super easy to rip out of a pizzeria. One huge ring right there is, you know, you buy a pizzeria or you get into a place, or a lot of the places that I've been working with, these guys just came up on, hey, there was a pizza oven in there and it's a Middleby Marshall MB80. And you're like, oh my God, you're going to make brick pizza. You could do Sicilian pies in here all day long. And you'd make killer upside downs in here. Don't focus on rounds because you can do pans. So if they were doing New York's, try change the regional styles. So the customer, that's the thing, right? You take over a pizzeria. Don't take over and do the same exact thing, copy the make. The reason why they went out of business is because probably their pizza sucked.
Or maybe like it wasn't a good enough business to hand down to their children. Like the children didn't want
happens.
it. Right. No, I guess, but what you're saying is like, it wasn't as killer as it could have been. Otherwise, you'd probably be paying a premium for that pizzeria.
Oh man, yeah, you will. And especially the good spaces. And, you know, you go in there, you look at these spaces, they got a conveyor of it. And you're like, okay. If you want to do New York style, okay, maybe immediately that's the number one call I get all day. Hey, I want to buy Pizza Master. I want to do New York style pizza. All right, pump the brakes real quick. Before we get in bed with the Pizza Master, that's quite a wild oven. While you're looking at that conveyor oven, do you have enough power in there? That's the number one question. I mean, Pizza Master's gone so crazy with this. They make you sign a waiver basically before you even get this thing in your store to make sure you got enough power. And that's question number one. I partnered with a pizzeria I'm going to be opening in San Diego later this year called Besta One. And the place didn't have electricity, but the style of pizza we're doing. And of course, my buddy's like, dude, let's put a Pizza Master in there. Dude, we don't need a Pizza Master. We're making Chicago cracker style. We don't need that. You know, we need a good solid oven. So actually he decided to upgrade to a Peerless oven, which is an American made oven. It's old school. It's been in the business for years. You've seen them. Anybody who's been out there for a while has worked with Peerless. They're super popular on food trucks, and they pump out killer New York pizzas. If you're doing a low temp or a cracker thin and you're not messing with high hydration dough where you need that heat right away, those ovens work great, just like the Middleby Marshalls or the Baker's Pride still work. The old school ones, upgrading those are good options.
So a lot of the people here who are listening, a good amount of them are going to be pandemic-born pizza makers who maybe started making pizza because they got themselves an uni. Roll the uni ad. Are you looking to level up your pizza game? If so, I highly suggest that you check out Uni, the unrivaled leader when it comes to pizza ovens. Uni pizza ovens are a total game changer. With the ability to reach up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll have the power to be able to make the pizza of your dreams. What I love about Uni is their portability and versatility. You can bring them anywhere, or you can keep them on your patio or in your backyard. And you can make a ton of different styles of pizza with it. They're so fun to use. And guess what? You can use them to start your pizza business too. So whether you're a passionate home pizza baker or a budding entrepreneur, you gotta get with Uni. Use the affiliate link in the show notes. That way, you can let my sponsors know that you heard about them through What's Good Dough. Thank you for supporting me and my sponsors. But, they're thinking, I'm going to make Neapolitan pizza or Neapolitan-ish. What advice do you have for them? It could be oven related or space related or maybe style related. Like maybe it's don't do it.
Dude, I'm waiting for the day that I'm going to see a guy. I've been actually dying, and I love the Uni thing. I'm going to see you soon in San Francisco when we do the SF pizza thing. I'm waiting for the next pizzeria to open one day where a guy's going to take over a space and he's just going to have 10 Unis under a hood and he's going to be yanking out Neapolitan pizzas. And Stefano Ferreira and those oven companies are just going to be mind-blowing. What do you do when you're doing that style of pizza and you want to transition to a brick and mortar? And that has become a common thing. And where I've actually run into better help for guys right now is they know the ovens, they get it. They all go to Expo and they see them, they're watching all the videos and they get it. The challenge is how do you convert that home recipe into a scaled up recipe? Where they normally make a mistake is, they use the wrong mixer. They're still stuck on the old school, like Neapolitan mixer, which is a mistake. I've seen a lot of them out there and I don't knock them. If it works, if you got power issues, they work. You need 50 amps, 60 amps to run some of these heavier duty mixers, but spiral mixers should be the only mixers people are putting in pizzerias these days. Unless you invested back in the day and you got a Hobart or you came up on a free Hobart, I can pump out killer pizza doughs out of a Hobart. It's not all about the mixer, and that's also another key thing that I like to provide with my consulting. It's not that I pump Pizza Masters or all this equipment. What are we going to use that works in this space? And I'll tell you what kind of pizza we're going to be able to make here. So that's where the challenge is. And these guys who are doing Unis who want to convert to brick and mortars, maybe it isn't a wood-fired oven, because when you are by yourself, that Uni cavity is a different beast when you get behind, I'm sure Sanctuary Pizza, Ryan can let you know, and it just be like, that's a beast of an oven to operate. It's a different animal when you're dealing with that. And then you get 7 of them in there. Oh my God, what do I do? So electric ovens are in, top bottom control are in. I would recommend small Pizza Masters. They're cheap. They're easy to get into spaces. Pizza Master doesn't promote them much because they're going to start coming out more, right? And I think they're easier to get into locations. You don't got to worry about flipping this thing. And when you deal with the Pizza Master, the problem with them is if you get a 933, you're getting that one piece. And if I got to come in there and get the team to come out to take apart the decks, it's another $4,000 I got to drop on the bill just to get the team to rip which I hate to do. And nobody wants to see their brand new Pizza Master being stripped apart in a million pieces. I've seen it done, and it's like, it's kind of like, I'm like, dude, hey, watch the doors. And these guys, I'm like, oh my God, something's going to go wrong here in my client.
You made a pretty bold claim earlier. If you're opening up a pizzeria in 2024, the only mixer you want is a spiral. Elaborate for me, please. Because I have a spiral mixer. Shout out FAMAG, affiliate link in the show notes. I love it 100%. But tell me more. And it could be any brand, obviously. But why spiral? And why not diving arm? Or why not planetary?
Yeah, dividing arms, forks, planetaries. You got all the different types. Spiral simply because it's so versatile with different styles of pizza. It works from everything from 52 hydration, percent hydration doughs up to the 90s and hundreds even, and you're mixing baguette dough. But the common thing to keep in mind, and I'm sure you know on your little spiral, is it has that RPM setting, which there's new companies coming out there. I'll give the shout outs, the new ones that are coming out there, which are super hot right now with the lights and the cool colors. I'm seeing clients getting those. They have RPM settings on them. Do you need all of that? You're just going to confuse the shit out of your employees, because they're going to go, you're going to come in one day and guys, you're going to have to fire the guy because he mixed a dough at 100 RPM or something, and it was something like that.
Picture this. A new family moves into your neighborhood. What does that mean for you? A potential new customer. What better way to introduce yourself than with free pizza? Here's how. Our Town America works with businesses like yours to craft irresistible welcome packages to anyone who moves into your neighborhood. If you listen to my podcast with Christina Martin of Manitza's Pizza, she uses this same tactic, and oh my goodness, she is raking in the customers who naturally become diehard fans of her business. So if this is something you want to get started on, you got to get with Susan from Our Town America. Let her know you heard about her from What's Good Dough. That way, you can save $125 if you get set up. I got you, fam. You can reach her at 480-678-1366. Again, that's Susan from Our Town America. 480-678-1366. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. On the note of employees, someone opening up a pizzeria in 2024, what should they do about employees? How many do they need? Should they go solo and say, fuck it, it's just going to be me. That way I can rely on me. And if anyone fucks it up, it's on me. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Dude, anybody out there, the guy, we just saw the top 50, and credit to the guy, man. I got nothing but respect for Anthony Mangieri. That is one badass pizza maker, but he's got some balls going up there and then being the only guy making a pizza. And it's like, you want to be that guy. That's cool. I mean, more credit to you, but it is cool. And there's more guys out there doing that. Like now, Westchester Pizza, dude, guy's killer what he's done up there. And yeah, you want to do that. That guy's model is the classic, like, one-man band, pizza master, refrigerated table, and you're in your t-shirt and you're doing it every day. I like that style, dude. And you're setting your own hours. Think about it. It's like, it's the cafe or espresso shop. You're in the Bay, the espresso shop or the 4-barrel coffee of pizza. Super hipster. You're going to come in there and see he's got the boxes all laid out in the front. And it goes back to some greats who pulled this stuff. Pizza Camp, Joe Badia, another great one who started just like that. So yes, those stories work. And I got all the respect to those guys that do that, because they got through to they had a food writer or someone come in and then rate their pizza, and it was a killer day, and they blew up. And the guys who want to, how much labor, make sure you've drawn out your line properly and you've understood what the topping line's going to look like and what your schedule's going to look like. So that's really the question, is it's down to the homework and the shit nobody wants to do. It's this paperwork, like, got to go in the office and I got to figure out the spreadsheets now. Okay, who's on nobody wants to do scheduling. But that's really, I mean, out here in Kauai, I just actually got pinned by my own team, and they're like, hey, I wanted to open the pizzeria more. The team's like, hey, we don't got enough staff to do this. Once they broke it down to me, I was like, okay, we can't do that right now. So we got to kind of pull back. So our hours are changed. It's okay. The pizzeria of the future doesn't have to be 7 days a week. You can be a pizzeria out there, and if it works, and you open for 3 days a week and you crush it and you're doing 6 to 10 G's on those days, why fuck with Monday and Thursday? I mean, shut down and go to the beach, or, start a ghost kitchen out of your pizzeria. Another big thing I've been getting people calling me about is, hey, how do I get more steam in my oven? Because I got a guy who's coming in the morning making bagels in my Pizza Master. Or I got a guy that's been a popular one I've been dealing with. I've been telling clients, how do I utilize my pizzeria? Dirt, rent it out to other guys so they can come in there and bake bread in your Pizza Master, or use your pizza oven to bake bread in. You got to think outside the box. And it's the number one question you ask me is like, how do pizzerias save money? It's not like, don't go out there and buy cheaper pepperoni. That's the common thing. Oh shit, I'm going to buy cheaper cheese. Fucking Grande's too expensive, dude. I'm not going to do this. Don't cheapen your product. Focus on how are you going to sell more? Not in the sense, don't take that too general of like, what do you mean, Alastair? How the fuck do I sell more? I mean, I'm trying to sell everything here. I got candy covered taffy apples on the counter and everything already. Nobody's coming in the door. Well, dude, if they're not coming in the door, maybe that's all the pizza that the town wanted. That's kind of, you got to think of it that way. And maybe you reverse engineer your mindset. Maybe I do rent my kitchen out as a ghost kitchen to someone else in the morning. I just seen your pop-up you did with those dudes, and it's just like, you guys are utilizing a different space. So there's guys out there that are coming in, or the uni cats that are out there before you go big. Like you said, good point. Go and do a pop-up at another pizza place. My client I'm working with in Kuwait, perfect example. Ghost kitchen concept. The only time the guy goes, he pop-ups in another pizzeria. There's already pizza traffic there. They're going to be so stoked to try a different style of pizza.
Just for the quick reference, what Al is referencing about the whole pop-up is that we used Last Round Tavern to do a charity fundraiser where we raised money selling pizza, and all of the proceeds went to Slice Out Hunger. But we used the entire restaurant space as bar space for the restaurant. And dude, the Last Round killed it. He was so happy at the end because not only did he do pizza for good, but he killed it in bar sales. So yeah, this is the whole like thinking outside of the box. If you're scared to open up a pizzeria because you think you're not going to make it, dude, you just got to have a different mindset.
The pizza makers from the pandemic, as they're starting to grow now, the pandemic's over. If we haven't got the memo, you know, it isn't over, but it's coming there. So now people are starting to get out of this, like, we got to get rid of the, like, hey, we don't have to be all crazy with the COVID and the way we do the takeout. We can actually talk to people again. We want to make sure that the pandemic pizza makers are scaling up their dough recipes properly. They have the staff training. They're making sure that the locations that they're going into are properly outfitted for that market, or, you know, even their menus, keeping it simple.
I mean, honestly, great advice, because those are the people that are going to be needing to hear that information. I want to transition real quickly as we, you know, wrap up and end this conversation. Big picture. What should people be focusing on in terms of getting the most bang for their buck when it comes to their pizzeria? And I'm talking about like, what is going to help people make a living that's going to either change their lives dramatically or just like, you know, give them enough to support themselves. Because I feel like people live in those two camps, right? They either just want a job, and both of them are related to sales, as we were kind of talking about, is like, how do we sell more? Maybe that's the question that I want to ask. Al, how do we sell more?
You know, putting yourself out there. It's giving more engagement. And, you know, shout out to DiMaggio's Pizza, coming in, working with them for 2 days in the past couple months. Having someone focus on systems and operations is really what I brought in there, and giving him the ability to feel confident in his dough. And where I mean that is like, you're not scooping out or you have it written down. You're actually looking at your formulas. Treat your recipes like your financials is the best way I can explain that, right? Treat your recipe books or your guides. A lot of people shout out on my Instagram, hey, what are those little cards on your videos? And like, why is everything in grams? And, or I had some guy mention like, dude, I know 3 cups, dude. I know how to top pizzas, man. I know how to make, I'm like, all right, bro, I get it, dude. You know how to make pizzas. But the pizzeria is how to focus big picture, systems, process. Let's look at the scale now. Let's look at our build station. Don't go out there and buy a new $30,000 piece of equipment. Look at everything you got right now. Where I mean systems, okay, let's whip out the recipe book and make sure all the recipes are correct again, or they're updated, or changing the process because there's a different technique. That's where I see a lot of guys saving money, feeling confident, you know, investing in the back of house. And when I say technology, and people always think like, you don't have to invest in your business by spending money on equipment. I'll leave you with this. Like, the way I mean that is, Google Sheets. Google is a company we use. Everyone who's in business knows Google or Microsoft or any of those online document management. Utilizing these platforms is free technology that you can have that is investing in your business in a way. By having your documents like that, you're able to share your spreadsheets with your employees. I'm able to train my production staff to look at prep sheets And now they're automated to where I have iPads mounted on the walls in some of my kitchens to where the employees just grab the iPad off the wall. There's a spreadsheet on there for the inventory. And when they're closing at the end of the night, they're writing the prep list for the next guy in the morning. Prep team comes in the morning. He's looking at the same iPad. He sees the prep list. There's no more manager. Doing that right there eliminates that middle manager in the pizzeria. That's the other thing I've gone through is like, hey, how many staff do I need? Well, you don't need 32 managers in this place. I mean, Jesus, how many people do you need? You need one dedicated person, high-level person who can make sure they're like the spider web over the business, watching all the nitty-gritty, making sure product isn't going out the back door, making sure what's coming in is right, and making sure that everyone's following recipes and procedures. You don't really need those, assistant managers. In some places, don't get me wrong, you need those in some places, right? Because if you're doing high volume, it accounts for it. But there's been a lot of places where I've gone to recently where they're not focused on.
So the details matter. Every little bit.
The details. And it's the shit we don't want to do. And I don't even want to do it. But when I come in and it's like when you're doing these things, that's what I provide is I'm there to, my service is, I'll tell people when I get on the phone with them to consult, it's like, all right, I'm here to basically do all the shit you didn't want to have to deal with when you opened your pizzeria. Or if they're a new pizzeria, the common thing that I commonly answer to is like, hey, what do we got to do to get this done right? And let me write this all out for us. Let's draw this out. Let's look at the staffing. Let's look at the menu. Let's write down the recipes. Let's meet again about this. Let's taste everything. Let's take the time before we jump into buying 1 million pans from Lloyd. And then, oh my God, we're not going to use this style pizza. Where do I get the box? Or like, I've gotten guys out there in the biz who's like, hey, I got 5 styles of pizza and I print 5 different size boxes. And I go, oh my God, the only one making money in this pizzeria right now is the box company.
Oh dear. Well, the good news is they have someone like you who they can run things by. And you just started this online consultation. They can book with you. You go on Al's website, book a 30-minute call, and man, that could potentially save you thousands and thousands of dollars in unused Lloyd pans. So make that call, right?
It's one of those things and hit it up on there. You jump on my calendar. It's really helpful. I just had a couple clients last week reach out on that. And some of them turn into actual full clients to where I'm like, hey, I can actually provide you some help here. And it's 30 minutes if we're jiving, and that's how it is. I'm willing to help your pizzeria. And it's simple calls like that for 30 minutes. I'll answer those questions that are going to save you thousands of bucks. Like, hey, Al, I saw the pans are cheaper from American Metal Craft. I've seen this a lot now with pizza masters. Guys are baking pizzas on the screens or finishing them on the screens. And the pizza master,
we should talk about gas versus electric. We're going to do a part 3 of this podcast, maybe for the Patreon listeners. So make sure to subscribe to that. There's going to be a link for the Patreon in the show notes. But dude, Al, thank you so much. Let's wrap up this part 2. I'm going to link all of your links in the show notes. Dude, you have been so fucking dope, and I appreciate you anytime you're on.
I love it, dude. I love what you're doing. I love this game. It's just like one of those things. Put yourself out there, and I love what you're doing. I can't wait till we jive. So one love. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the help from everybody who's listening and all the love. And let's chat.
Thank you for listening to the What's Good Dope podcast. Make sure to check out the show notes where you'll find links to my Patreon, email list, and the links to all my sponsors. You'll also find the contact info for today's guest too. Before we sign off today, I'd love it if you could support me by rating and reviewing this show. It helps so much when it comes to growing the show. Also, please share this episode with a friend, family member, or fellow pizza baker, especially if you think it'll add value to their lives. You can copy the link to this podcast and send it on over to them, or you can even share it via social media. If you do that, please tag me. I'd greatly appreciate it. Last but not least, I'd love it if you subscribe to the show. That way you can get notified anytime there's a new podcast. I appreciate you for listening. I love you. Till next time. Peace. Are you the type of listener that wants more content? Do you have suggestions for the type of content that's being made? Maybe you're the type of person who wants to support me as a creator. Well, I'm here to announce that I have started a Patreon. A number of you have been asking about this ever since I started podcasting in 2020, and I'm finally committing to the process of creating a Patreon. I want to create some episodes that are raw, unedited, give my thoughts. I also want to provide bonus content from the episodes that didn't make the final cut. And finally, I want to just have open communication with the listeners. And I promise that if you reach out to me via the Patreon, I'll get back to you as soon as possible, because I know you're going the extra mile to support me, and therefore I'll go the extra mile to support you. So whether you're interested in more content from me, or you just want to support the team over at What's Good Dough, check out the link to my Patreon in the show notes. I'd greatly appreciate it if you signed up. Thank you so much for supporting me. Hey, home pizza makers, what's good dough? It's time for you and me to partner up together and make pizzas for good. How do we do that? You and I will be doing pizza parties nationwide to raise money for Slice Out Hunger. And yes, it is starting now. So if you want to be a part of my team and make pizzas for good, you can register to be a part of Team What's Good Dough. And yes, it is welcome to all bakers, whether you're just starting off or you're a seasoned Pop Up Pro. Let's make pizza for good together.